Okay, hi and welcome back. This video is going to show you how to take a telemetry module and your DX6 radio and the receiver that's in the aircraft and bind them all together. Make the telemetry module work. So I came up with this interesting way to do it because you got to hold two things and push something at the same time, and you can't do that unless you got a little help. If you got a buddy or somebody to help you, that's great. I'm going to use, this is my buddy, it's a bench vise, and it's going to hold the telemetry module while I press the button. So I'm going to move the camera angle just down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. So I'm going to put the telemetry module on my bench vise, on my bench, and the bench is just a table. Lock that down where I want it. There we go. And let me change camera angle so you can see that a little better. There we go. Okay, so got my DX6 radio sitting here. The telemetry module needs to be connected to the receiver by this wire. Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can do that. I'm going to use the telemetry extension wire. Okay, so you can read what that says. Let me get it in focus here. There we go. So it's a telemetry extension wire. I got that one still in the pack. I got a little wire here, shows you what it looks like. Okay, just male and female of the telemetry wire. So I'm going to plug the extension into the data port of the TM1000. Okay, and these connectors are directional, so you got to check and make sure which way is up, and then plug it in. So that's what it looks like plugged in. Okay, and oh, by the way, little safety warning: be careful of gray plastic props. Even when the motor's not turned on, they're dangerous. Yesterday I was working with a glow airplane that had a regular gray plastic prop on it, and it was not turning over well and sort of sticking, so I grabbed it and turned it by hand, which I do normally, but it caught, it didn't start, but it bounced, so it was sort of like at top dead center, and I had to turn it off of that, and I should have done it with a chicken stick or something, but I didn't, and so it turned and just nicked my finger. Safety warning, don't do that. So it's fine. Not the first time, won't be the last time. So now I'm going to take the small little wire and that's going to go into the receiver, and so I can now my telemetry module could be that far away, 12 inches away from the receivers. The receiver's here in the airplane, and I don't want to take it out. So this needs to go into the bind port, and the bind port is the first port. Black wire to the bottom, and okay. So now that's set. Now the throttle channel normally is the channel next to the bind port, which it is, and this wire here is from the battery elimination circuit, the BEC, from the ESC, and that's going to need to get connected in such a way that we can control when power is applied to this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a standard 3-wire switch harness. In fact, it's a this one is a Spectrum switch harness. There's the number if you want it. So it's a Spectrum switch harness, 3 wires, and so you got an on side that has 1 wire and an off side that has 2 wires. The switch is in the off position. So the on side of the switch needs to go into the throttle channel of the receiver. Okay, so that's right next to the bind data port where the other long wire is. And we push that in. Come on, get in there. Okay, there it goes. There we go. Okay, it's in. Now I could have taken the receiver out and unplugged the other servos and all, but I decided not to do that. So now the on, that's the on side of the switch, is plugged into the receiver. The off side of the switch goes to the wire coming from the ESC. Remember aligning these black to black and putting them together. Okay. Now what that's going to do is I'm going to use my bench vise actually to hold the switch. Bring it a little closer here. Okay. So the switch is going to sit, switch is in the off position. Switch is going to sit in my bench vise, just like so. The bench vise has nice rubber jaws on it. So now what I can do is push this on when I want power to the receiver. Okay. Then the other thing I can do is this right here. So here's the TM1000 module, and here is the little bind pointer. So I can push the bind button with my little holding the receiver, the TM1000 and the pointer in 2 hands. And then with my little pinky down here, I can turn that switch on while I push the button. So that's going to be the procedure. And once we see that the receiver is on and flashing, then I'll grab my transmitter and go through the bind procedure as you normally would, and rebind this receiver and this telemetry module all together. So what I forgot was the battery, and you have to use the flight battery, the LiPo, so that you get the, during the bind process, you get the fail-safe position of the sticks and everything, all the switch settings of your transmitter. So let me go get the LiPo battery and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and got my battery. By the way, there is another way to do that. I'll tell you that you can just take like a 12-inch standard servo extension and use the extension, put the extension into the bind port, and then run the small little wire into the data port of the receiver. But I just decided to do it the other way because I got it, and it's one less wire that looks like a servo wire in the setup. So I've got my extension on the connector for the battery, and so I think I'm ready to do this. I'm going to plug in the battery, but nothing's going to, the motor and the ESC will get power, but there will be no power to the receiver until I flip the switch. Okay, so I'm going to plug in the battery, and you're going to hear the tones of the ESC. Okay, and nothing's going to happen until I flip the switch. So now what I'm going to do is grab my pointer, grab my ESC, I'm sorry, grab my pointer, grab my TM1000 module, get my pinky ready to flip the switch. Let me get this around here. Alright, so now I can press the bind button with my pointer and flip the switch. There we go. Flashing, flashing. Okay, so everything's flashing. I'm going to come out of camera view, hold my button down on the DX6, turn it on.
Binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Telemetry. Flight pack. No data. Flight pack. 0.0 volts. Flight pack. 0.0 volts.
Okay, and so it bound. The TM1000 has a steady light. The receiver has a steady light, and everything is bound. So what I'm going to do now is I'll stop the camera a minute. I'm going to well, I won't stop the camera. I'll just go ahead and take this apart. So I'm going to unplug the battery. Actually, I won't unplug the battery. I'll just turn the switch off. I think I'll unplug the battery too. So battery's unplugged. Switches, because I'm going to take the switch out of the circuit. So I want to have all of this extra stuff out of here. Okay.
Flight pack. No data.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to go ahead and turn the radio off. Don't need it right now. I'm going to unplug the extension to the TM1000 and unplug the extension from the TM1000 too as well. So I don't need that extension anymore. Don't need the little push pin. I can undo the switch from the throttle channel, and I can plug the connector from the ESC, VEC, into the throttle channel, like it would normally be. Okay, that's in place. So the bind data port has the small little wire that goes to the TM1000. Then we've got the throttle channel, and then we got the rest of the servos. So now I'm going to plug the bind data port wire into the data port of the TM1000. And next thing I'm going to do is open this package with the EC3 and the voltage sensor wire. So I'm just going to plug that into the extension I got from the ESC here on the bottom. And this is a male and a female, so it'll only go on one way. And so I'm going to plug the extension into that extension. Then I'm going to plug the wire from that sensor, EC3 sensor, into the middle connector of the TM1000 where the voltage goes. And I want to take my bench vise out of the way, just get it out of my way. Okay, so now that we're bound together, we're going to do it the normal old-fashioned way. We're going to turn the radio on first, let everything get up and running. Okay, lights are on. So now we'll go ahead and plug the battery in as we normally would. The throttle is all the way idle. The throttle hold is on.
Light pack, no data.
Okay, got good tone. So, now that those two things are bound together, on the radio, if you use the roller from the main screen, you'll see 3 or 4 other screens here. So that's the telemetry screen number 1, and that shows the time remaining of 10 minutes and the voltage at 12.4. And you can see there's other screens that shows the receiver here at the bottom. Receiver has 5.1 volts. Then here's the telemetry shown nice and large for the voltage at 12.4. And then you have a min and a max screen that shows the minimum and maximum of both voltages of the battery and the voltage at the receiver. Okay. So normally when I fly,
Flight pack, 12.4 volts.
okay, you heard that. The report said we'll get that every minute, and that said 12.4 volts. Okay, so now that that's working, we have telemetry working. And so each time you plug it in, the first time it might give you a report that says no voltage. You can just scroll over on this screen and see, oh, I got 12.4 volts, that's no problem. So the next report after a minute, it does take a while for all the sensors to work together, but probably only takes 10 seconds to get it all synced together and reported back to the radio as to what the voltage is. So we're set to go. I'll take the extensions out. I need to put some Velcro on the back of the telemetry module and run the wire through the inside of the cabin.
12.4 volts.
Okay, still 12.4 volts. So I'm going to run this wire so that it can be permanently mounted, and I'll have Velcro on the back of the TM1000 module, and that module sit next to the receiver. So it'll sit in there just, you know, like that next to it. And notice the long wire. I'm probably going to run that in opposite direction because the receiver wire runs through the tail. I'll probably loop the telemetry module around inside the cabin so that those two antennas don't touch. But other than that, it's going to work fine. So I'll do all that and be right back and I'll show you how it looks all put together. Okay, I'm back, and just to show you what the final setup looked like, looking at the bottom of the aircraft where the battery is, and this is the extension for the battery with the telemetry wire attached to it. And on the other side of the aircraft we have the telemetry module up here with Velcro. This wire is going to the data port, and the wire from the ESC going into the throttle channel. And you can see this wire down there is the wire to the battery. So what we'll do is go ahead and turn on the radio, let it warm up. Throttle hold is on, throttle is back full, radio's on, the light's on. So we will go ahead and plug in the battery. Okay, I don't know if you heard that or not, but it said flight pack, no data. And that's just because it hadn't read it yet. But if I look at the telemetry screen, you see the telemetry screen says 12.4 there. The volts are 12.4. The receiver's seeing 5.1 volts. And so you got all these extra screens here to decide which one you want. I like that screen because it's got the timer on it and both voltages, but a lot of times I'll go to that screen too. So seems to be working okay. I don't need to test anything else. I'll wait a minute or the rest of the 30 seconds here for this to report. It says 12.4 every minute.
Flight pack 12.4 volts.
And there we go. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this one, and be sure to stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.